Why you need a button box? Well, do you want to be fast? Do you want to fight with the 11K rating Maximilian Beneke or the fastest gamer in the world, James Baldwin? Then you're gonna need something like this, or that never gonna happen. I'm kidding, because I hate boring reviews and I always prefer to give you proper reason why you should get certain device in your life. Let me tell you why I love those boxes so much. Most of the wheels on the market those days have absolutely enough buttons to cover all my personal needs, but I'm sure if you stay long enough in the sim racing field, at some point you will lose your mind as I did, and you're gonna get second wheel. Maybe one for GT cars, maybe one for drift or open wheels, and then the problem arrives. None of the sims I use remember my wheels, and every time I swap a steering wheel, I have to remap every single button, and there are a lot like traction control, ABS, engine maps, black boxes, lights, wipers, and dozens of different menus, but that actually is the small problem, as in 5 minutes I will remap everything. The big problem is to bring that muscle memory back and remember where exactly every single input is. I still try to keep the most frequently used inputs on my steering wheel, but the rest goes to the button box, to which I have built my muscle memory, and that adaptation becomes so much easier. That being said, the biggest reason to have my cockpit like a Christmas tree with so many button boxes is completely different. The level of satisfaction to push down the toggle switch, ignite the engine and press the start button and hear that sound just makes me feel happy. For many people that sounds childish and stupid. To me, it doesn't really matter as long as this gives me a smile. If you get the picture and I trigger your curiosity, it's time to tell you a little bit more about those beauties. Ariel Stockman, the owner of SimRacing4U, sent me to test the new updated model, but as I am in love with his job and already own 3 different models from that company, I want to show you as many as I can, even if that's impossible, as there are already 7 pages of different models he built. The first one I've got around 3 years ago with this beautiful backlit start button, and the other 2 about a year ago, one small with the brake base which I totally rebuilt to fit in the Stream Deck Mini, and the big one which stays behind my gearboxes. When I first decided to go for a button box, I wanted to be something unique and definitely with backlit buttons. Knowing the prices of some already established brands, I was really happy to find this one under €100. And the prices, from my opinion, are very fair for what we get. For example, in this one here we get 4 rotary encoders, rocket switch with red and green light depending on the position, main switch to turn the lights on and off, and in both position everything remains fully functional, 4 two-way rotaries, start button, and those 8 16mm push buttons, which are the main upgrade on this box as they are bigger from the rest I have around, with noticeably deeper movement which makes them really comfortable in use. The case is plastic, but I have to admit it's good quality plastic material, as I found myself in trouble to cut it out for that modification on the small one here. Considering that's produced in UK, £140 sounds very fair price to me, and maybe it's not some fancy carbon or aluminum build, but I personally prefer to pay less for plastic case, as there will be zero pressure on it instead of selling kidney for some fancy material for no reason. This is not a steering wheel and there are no forces applied through any force feedback, and just sit quietly there on my rig. And wrapping those with little Alcantara to kill the glare, they start looking as a really premium product. The way I usually set the box is the rocket switch is my ignition, and the red and green LED lights are a nice addition to showcase the current state of the button. The two-way rotaries are great for the two-way inputs, and I set there the lights of the car and the wipers, which have different stages. Those are really great in use with nice load in every direction, and it's impossible to double click with them. Probably one of my favorite switches on this box, and they are also great to set my race logic and the little screen and swap through different pages, as if I miss the page I need, I can turn back without looking for a different button. The start button is self-explaining. The rotary encoders are reserved for the traction, ABS, brake pies, and engine maps when I use a wheel with less buttons or wheels without buttons at all. Usually the pit limits, the ABS, the traction control, the black boxes, those inputs which I use most frequently, I keep them on the steering wheel because I don't want to remove very often my hands from the wheel. As I also want to give a soul of those boxes, I have to say Ariel is absolutely awesome guy as his products. Despite his constant pain through some health issues, he still managed to deliver one of the best custom services on the market and constantly coming with some fresh ideas. Hats off for guys like him. So, do you want to unload some inputs from your steering wheel and set them on the button box and create constant muscle memory and stop worrying about swapping your wheels? Or you're a big kid like me and you want to feel like badass every time coming back from your shitty job and sitting into your beautiful environment? If that's the case, I truly believe those are one of the best we can find for those prices on the market. If none of my arguments trigger your curiosity, then, well, as long as you're happy with your environment, I'm happy for you to stay creative, enjoy the ride, and I will see you on the next one.